Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I decided to do a live video just to kind of explain and provide explanation for my posts for the past 2 days. I've posted a lot of controversial content, and I want people to understand I don't do this on accident. I do this on purpose, and it's only to do exactly what this pandemic is doing, and it's forcing us out of our comfortability. It's forcing us to change. It's forcing us to slow down and stop. And it's disturbing the human dream. And so I'm going to discuss government, the matrix. I posted a status the other day saying, if you still believe in the one world government, the shadow entity, and you've seen the Matrix series, you missed the entire point. And the response I've gotten is what I expected. A lot of anger, a lot of hostility. So I figured for those who are open-minded, who would like to hear an explanation, at least, this doesn't mean you will agree with me, and this is not me trying to change anyone's mind, but for those who are open-minded and able to see both sides of the spectrum, this video is intended for you. We've heard the discussion of government being corrupt, government being evil, government trying to control, manipulate. Some secret agenda is at hand here from what we believe. And so what I was trying to address through the Matrix series is if you've watched Matrix 1, 2, and 3, and you still have not realized that all worldly systems feature in a two-party systems which replicate your own brain, you will realize that there is no worldly system. We're under this belief that presidents and people can be controlled. And what I teach is the message of oneness. We are all equally one and the same person. Now you must ask yourself, somebody can come to you with brute force, put a gun to your head, and they could still not control you. They could still not make you do anything, revealing to you your ultimate power is choice, freedom, that control. Now, if you can't be controlled or manipulated or made to do anything, and I'm not saying we can't be influenced, but if a government entity were to come to you tomorrow at your door with guns, or they tortured you to death, you still would have the choice to be controlled and submit or to not. So that reveals to you, you cannot be controlled unless you have decided so. There is a new form of mind control that's going on the internet, social media, and it's going viral. And this mind control is a new form of mind control because it's one in which you convince yourself another is controlling you. We have convinced ourselves that something and someone else is controlling us. And so it's this belief that's disturbing our dream of control. In every single aspect is pointing you back to yourself. No human origin has ever been found here. Now again, I'm going to give you the other side of the spectrum. We all are pretty familiar with the corrupt government, with the evil government stories. We were pretty familiar. Let's try looking at it from a different perspective, yeah? Physicist, the entire universe might be a neural network. This was released just this year. Scientists and our governments have already discovered The earth is not a physical place. The earth is not a physical location. And one thing we have never thought about is maybe this government is protecting people, because if people found out on a massive scale tomorrow or tonight that earth is not physical, which takes away and eliminates place. We believe we're a person in a place. Physicists believe the universe is a neural network. Eventually, we need to start asking real questions and disturb our dream. We need to disturb the dream of the human, which is what is happening now. We are mutating our genes and changing, and it's greatly disturbing us because we are attaching to this and do not want to change. But again, I say, no human origin has ever been found. The Big Bang is our attempt to create a position in space of a starting point of this human origin, which has been incorrect and proven incorrect time and time and time again, which is why the date keeps moving back and back and back, because this is our attempt to fixate a position in space and say, this is our starting point, this is the origin, but it's never been found. So eventually we must realize no human being is alive here. And when you start talking like this, you sound crazy, like you've lost your mind. But again, if we're not finding what we're looking for, just like Alice looking for that white rabbit, she never caught it. She never caught up to it. We're trying to catch this human dream and stay with this human belief. And we're being forced on a massive scale. Because again, there is no body and earth. The universe is a neural network. Which is what the entire Matrix series was about. Neo and Mr. Smith were you and you. One side of the brain and the other side of the brain. This is why you have two hemispheres of your brain. And this is why every worldly system replicates this dual system. If you're a Democrat or Republican, you have successfully turned one side of your brain onto the other. If you're a Democrat, you are at war with the right side of your brain. And if you're a Republican, you are at war with the left side of your brain. You're fighting yourself and you have no idea who the enemy is. The white versus black agenda through the news and media, they are trying to force a white versus black war again. Know who you're fighting. If you only knew that this earth wasn't even a physical place, you would begin to realize that what you are looking through here is the light of the entire cosmos. And instead of you exerting all your energy to grab and fight this screen to your consciousness, the answer is simply knowing yourself, knowing what is here. If we are all the same person, and what I mean by that is oneness, non-duality, we are God in infinite amount of forms. And we must look into our words. Our words become objects. We create objects out of our words. So I need people to understand, while there is a God, there is not a God for the word that we have given. We have given God a word. And as soon as God becomes a word, the mind will assign a place, a definition, a shape, etc. Just as it has done with your character. You've taken on the role of the body, the name, the shape. Because you have fallen into the word. This form needs no word to represent what it is, but we create this form into a word, and that word is a human being. The human being does not exist out here. The human being exists right behind your very eyes. The earth exists right behind your very eyes. That's what scientists are trying to slowly tell people. They're slowly trying to ease people into that truth, that Earth is not a place. We must acknowledge this sooner or later. We base who we think we are on where we think we are. But once you eliminate the where, there is no where. Where can I go? You're in a mental construct, which means if this is this, I can fight and shoot and grab and strangle this screen to my consciousness till I am dead. But the only force I fight is myself, which was Neo fighting Smith. You are Neo, and you are under the impression that the government or some evil shadow entity, which is the opposite side of your brain, is manipulating you, controlling you. And this is not only what psychedelics will prove to you. If you want the path, if you want to know for yourself, psychedelics will lead you into the path of oneness, or quantum physics will lead you into the path of oneness. Both lead to the same inevitability, that there is only one presence here. This presence has never left, never gone anywhere, never traveled outside of itself. Why? Because there is no place. Once you eliminate place from the mind, you must start addressing the who. Who was existent in this place? Because once you acknowledge that, you will realize and start unmasking this mental construct. This is a mental construct. This is a mental construct. As children, how do we learn? We set kids up on a TV, and they're shown various objects. They're shown objects on a TV, and this object has no word, but we create with our words. So a child will memorize this object as the subjective word. This is why, and this is how, God has an endless amount of definitions. God is not the Word. That's why the Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Past tense, was God. The Word was God, but God, the absolute, fell into the subjective word itself. And that is how we fall into word. That's how we dissect and split the self into two properties, inside and outside, which provides you with a place. If I'm inside this body, I am outside in this place. But once you realize this place is no place at all, you have assigned this place a word, and this word has become the place itself. You call this earth, and you have memorized this picture very familiar as earth. So when you look outside and see trees, it's very common sense to say this is earth, but that's shallow. You haven't grazed beneath the surface. We can easily laugh at people for saying that's not earth, because it sounds absurd. But that's why I stress, this is for the open-minded. If you are aware that things are not making sense for you, or something needs to be revealed, this is that something. You are what you seek. What you seek is seeking you. And this is what quantum physics proves. That there is no absolute reality, which means there is no absolute shadow government or Illuminati or Freemason. Whatever entity you believe is controlling this world has been put there and held up by your belief. As much as we want it to end, as much as we despise this corporation, this entity, we've put it forth. And when somebody comes and challenges this entity, who runs to defend it? We do. We defend the very system we want to end. And then we go as far as to tell people, if you don't see this problem, you are the problem. If things were absolute, we would all be acknowledging this is common sense. Look in front of you. But it's not. Not everybody is suffering from the same dream. Which proves, again, what quantum physics has already proven. The answers are already out there. We have all the information at our fingertips. Scientists and physicists have already undeniably proven Earth is not a physical place. Admiral Byrd and all the explorations of Antarctica, they found the pole, and they found the fact that Earth is not physical. We are not in a place. This is why NASA is there. NASA is your government loving you so much to provide you with this supportive dream that you are in some place, that you are some person. But the information is all there if you want to go past the surface level. It's all on the internet. The universe has been proven to be similar to a neural network. It took Neo 3 movies before he discovered who he was fighting. And this is why I stress to people, if you have seen the Matrix series and you still believe in a one-world government, you have missed the entire point. At the last movie in the Matrix, Neo is asked by Mr. Smith, why do you persist? Why do you keep fighting? And Neo's realization is because I choose to. Holy crap, this is me, because I choose to. I am keeping you alive. I am keeping you fighting myself. And so what does he do? He surrenders to himself. He has known himself at such a deep level that he knows. He's not Neo, and he's not Mr. Anderson. He is the Matrix in itself. This movie represents each and every one of you. You are not Neo, and you are not Mr. Anderson. And we all want to be Neo because Neo was the chosen one. No, 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 no. You are the entire Matrix. Why do you think Neo was able to rewrite the Matrix at the end? Mr. Smith had the Matrix pouring down rain. Once he accepted that Mr. Smith was himself, Mr. Smith stuck his hand into his body, he took over Neo, and then Neo exploded. And then at the end, he rewrote the Matrix because he had what you would call an ego death. He was not Mr. Smith and he was not Neo. He was the entirety, the entire Matrix, which is why the Matrix went from pouring down rain to sunshine at the end, when the Oracle is looking up at the sun and smiling and saying, Neo is still there. Neo is here. Neo was not one person. Neo was the entire Matrix, what you call God. And each and every one of you are the Matrix. That's what this series was about. You are fighting yourself, and it only continues because you persist. When people come along that challenge this belief, this entity, this corporation, you're angered because they don't see it. They don't exist in this dream. We want others to see. We want others to exist in this dream. To acknowledge the fact that our experience is valid, that we're not the only ones, we're not crazy. And this is where we constantly look for the collective through social media. Lose the crowd and find yourself. That's the greatest trick of social media. Lose the crowd, lose the popularity, and find yourself. Just like Nikola Tesla said, in solitary is where you will find the best inventions, the best ideas, the best everything. You must know yourself before you go out there and riot, or before you go out there and start fighting people. Know who you are. You would not stand in front of a mirror and start hitting yourself in the face. Yet when you go out and riot or fight somebody, you are literally standing in front of a mirror and whacking yourself in the freaking head. And if we only had the capacity to know that, we would feel like fools. But we don't know that. We don't recognize ourselves. We don't know who we are. And that's where this whole alien entity has come in. Alien is unknown. Unknown. So if you are unknown to yourself, how would you recognize the unknown visiting you? You don't even know who you are. How can you know the alien? You are the alien. You're unknown to yourself. What you seek is seeking you. You are the alien. You are the Matrix. You are God. You are the White Rabbit. Everything you seek is seeking you. You are the corrupt government. You are the NWO. You are the New World Order. You are Illuminati. It's put in place there because you keep it there, because you persist, because you spread this message and this belief unto everybody, and you want others to see it. We must start acknowledging the power of our mind. The mind is how you open the third eye. So many people want to process, what can I do to open my third eye? This is an incorrect way of looking at it, because what we're doing is creating an expectation to opening the third eye. How can I open my third eye? And boom, everything magically starts changing or morphing or transitioning. This is not a literal phenomenon. Opening the third eye is acknowledging that all the words you use and birth into objects, including yourself, you are an object, a form. Every word you have birthed into the object is empty. It does not exist. So opening the third eye is acknowledging that you are not seeing with this. You're not seeing with these eyes. You are seeing with the mind's eye. The mind creates the word into the object. Why do you think people see with these? A flat earth, a round earth, this earth, that earth. Again, if there was only one absolute, we would all see it. Undeniably, all see it. But the fact that you have people claiming a flat earth, a round earth, a triangle earth, it doesn't matter. This proves undeniably the word does not exist. When we see the word as the object, we are only seeing the mind. The mind is everything. The mind is all. We've never seen a human being. And again, this is for the open-minded. This is why we have never found a human origin. And let me take this even a step further, okay? We celebrate and get excited when video games replicate the realism of reality. The more real the video game, the more realistic the video game, the better it is, right? Isn't that why we've progressed video games? The graphics have gotten better, the gameplay has gotten better. It's eventually getting to be just as real as this. And eventually we must realize we are that form of machine. There is nobody else creating here but us. And that which speaks is not human at all. That which speaks has become human, has fallen into the Word. And that's what we're doing, is we're essentially just going to catch up to ourselves here and now. Here and now is all we have, but eventually we're going to keep progressing video games, and we're going to keep progressing them until you are uploading yourself into a virtual reality which is indistinguishable from this one. which will prove to you at last you are the Ouroboros. You are biting your own tail. Why? Because you are prolonging the inevitability of yourself as the one. The singularity revealing itself is you. This does not happen on a collective level. There is no collective. We are all equally one. But remember what I said, the words do not exist. So when I say there is no collective, the word we use to represent this collective does not exist. It's empty. All words are empty. All language is made up. And at some point or another, we must be honest with ourselves and acknowledge this. All words are empty. So where is the life being put into these objects? And when you're honest with yourself, everything is coming from the mind. What makes Earth real? The fact that you see it and can touch it and stimulate it? Before you assign this a word, you could do that. But you've painted this word. You've given it place, definition, all existent in the mind. And so again, remember, you're not seeing with these. You think you're in a place because the mind assigns place as outside of here. But when there is no inside and there is no outside, where am I? Where can I go? When there is no inside and there is no outside, this eliminates body and earth. There is no separation. We become one, and there is one presence. What we call the moment is a presence in which everything of the form transpires through, revealing to us what has never came nor went. 200 years ago has still been this presence. This presence was here 200 years ago and 1,000,000 years ago because time does not exist. Why? Because the presence is not traveling outside of itself. There is no inside and there is no outside. What we're calling this presence is what we call God, the entirety. And there is no word for it because it's just that, chaotic. No word can represent the sum total of everything, of all your senses combined into one, which equals presence. We have 6 senses, and we establish our identity through that 6th sense, which is thought. We attach all of our thoughts, all of our fears onto the first thought, which is I. I. So when I have a question, I am afraid, I am hungry, I comes first. But what we don't acknowledge is that even I is still a thought. And this is where the ego exists, in thought. That's an ego death, is finding out that your character will cease to exist once the breath and the thought stop. But this is where Buddha gave us vipassana meditation, to know the self beyond the breath, the body, and thought. Because the breath connects you to thought, and thought connects you to the mind. And from the mind creates everything. If you know yourself beyond breath, beyond thought, and beyond the mind, you have died. You have experienced an ego death in full. And so when it's your time for the breath to end, to cease, it's no problem. You know who you are. You have found yourself outside of the I thought. So when it comes to I am dying, oh no. I have experienced the death of this I thought already. I have already shed my veil and seen into this thought of who I am. And so once you see it beyond that veil, you have experienced death. When it comes time to leave your body, You will not look for or hold on to the breath or the thought. You will release them into the wind, knowing full well that your character goes with it, because you don't need to hold on to one name, one form. Why? You are the source to all spoken word, all spoken name, and all form. So why need be just this breath, just this thought, just this form? I am that I am. With or without breath. With or without thought. Nothing is needed. Nothing is needed to represent what I am beyond my presence. Presence is what Buddha called meditation. And this is the great misconception of meditation. We have turned meditation into a doing, into an act. Let me turn on my spiritual music and sit in this position and create an expectation. And when I am done with my meditation, when I am done with doing, you will notice nothing. Because that's what Buddha said. You cannot meditate once before bed and once in the morning. That's like taking one breath in the morning and one breath at night. If you did this, the day would never come. Meditation is not an act of doing. Meditation is when all doing cease to exist. You have shed the doer. You are in presence at all times. Remember, there is no place. You know the mind's tricks. You know the mind's tricks, creating inside and outside, body and earth. And so when this merges into a non-dual state of being, there is only one presence. And this ultimate presence is what Buddha called meditation. And Buddha was always with this presence, which is why he said, I never leave meditation. I am meditation. Meditation is me. The moment you have left meditation, you are back in ego. The moment you have returned to a body, you are back in ego. And it's the same with psychedelics. When you do psychedelics and have an out-of-body experience, what it's in fact showing you is there was no body. Because remember, this is represented by a word. And when you have an out-of-body experience, it shows you into the mind where all words exist. And so what it's showing you is there was no body. There never has been a body. It's showing you the inside of your mind from the inside out. You are empty. But emptiness is pureness. No effort required. Presence is everywhere, everything. This is why the Bible says God is with you all times, everywhere, watching you everywhere you go, because the presence is every place. There is no place and there is no person. We are all the one and same presence. But we separate and distinguish place from place from place from place. So, I can't meditate when I'm at work. Why? Because work has become a place. And so when I'm at work, I am in my mind at this place. But when you can eliminate place from mind, where are you? You are forever in presence. You aren't traveling from home to work. Home is where the heart is. Presence is omnipresent, which means there is no home and there is no work. Your mind is creating distinguishing places, but these places are housed within your mind. And so once you know this, you can always be in presence. Don't look at work as being in a place, and don't look at home as being in a place. Find your presence. Omnipresence means throughout all things. The who, the what, the where, and the why. It's all one presence. They all dissolve into the one. This is what Rumi meant when he said, you are not just one drop, you are the entire ocean. And that's what we are shedding, is the belief of ourselves as that I thought. We thought we were this I, which becomes the name, the form, and all other memory we attach to this I. But that is precisely what an ego death is. Experiencing the end of the belief of who you are, here and now, before you are separated from breath and from thought. And that's why when people are on their deathbed, they know it's time, because the mind is very active and is panicking. You have existed as a thought your whole life, and now you are realizing very deep into your core that this thought is soon going to leave you. The voice that you have existed in your entire being is going to leave you very shortly. And once this voice leaves you, you will die and cease to exist. You will never exist again. That is the realness of death. In the moment, we absolutely feel as if we will cease to exist and never be. Because we are holding on to that initial thought of I. Everything you know yourself to be has been established off of that foundation of I. Now I'm going to take it even a step further. Control is the ego's shadow. Many of us want to be in control. And this is what this pandemic has threatened for us, is our sense of control. But remember, control is the ego's shadow. So by our control being threatened, it's not actually the control that's being threatened, it is your very ego, which is under the assumption it is in control here. You are not in control here, and you never have been. However, we have the illusion of control because the bodily senses. I'm hungry, I will eat now. I have to go to the bathroom, I will go now. But we are not in control. When you get the phone call that somebody you love has passed or something, it gets very real and honest that you have no control. We are all rowing our boats about. And while this is scary for some, you must remember my key message in this video. The words we're using to represent what actually is do not exist. So when I say there is no control, I am attacking the word itself, not the what it represents. Our sense of control is an illusion, just as time is an illusion. And why? Because time and control come after your foundational thought of I, self. So where does time come into play? Somewhere along the lines, your I thought, your ego, began memorizing, until you slowly started attaching yourself to these memories. When you have lost the mind, you have become the entirety. And that's what Rumi was talking about, precisely. This is not a metaphor. I am not only in you, but I am you. And no one can understand this until he has lost his mind, quoted by Rumi. No one can understand this until he has lost his mind. And this isn't, again, a literal thing of losing your mind, going insane. Lose your mind as in open the third eye, purify your mind, and acknowledge that all the words you are seeing as these objects are empty. Every object that you know as the word is empty, is not the word. When you see these objects, the word keeps you from seeing yourself. That's what Ramana Maharshi talked about when he said there is no others. Letting go is very hard, absolutely, Robin. It's the hardest thing that we can do. And it's very uncomfortable doing it alone, which is why so many of us turn to social media in search of that collective. I have to find others who agree, who see what I see, who can confirm what I know. Lose the crowd. Find yourself. The final frontier is the question, who am I? And I say this to everybody who comes to me. Do not answer this question for me, because I have so many people trying to write an incredible paragraph of who am I and detailed form and all that, which is not the point. If you are answering the question of who am I, you have put it into a form of words for others. And the words that you distribute out keep you from knowing the self. Who am I is not answered by a spoken word. It is the disappearance of word, the purification of mind, the restoration back to innocence. And innocence is simply knowing nothing. A child knows nothing, because their ultimate being requires nothing to be done. And look how happy the child is, yet look how miserable the adult is. The adult is looking for an expectation and trying to do and do and do to essentially become what it already is. The child has no mission at all, because there is nothing to do here but be. Now, when I say be, every person in their ego says, I can't just sit in my room like this and just be, and not smile, not laugh, and just be a robot. And when we say this, we're attaching our minds to the words again. Lose the words. To simply be is to be with presence. Be as meditation. You don't leave meditation, you merge yourself with it. And it's the same with psychedelics. If you are returning to psychedelics, you have yet to realize you are the medicine. Just as you are what you're calling meditation. Meditation and psychedelics are revealing to you the ultimate presence without mind to get involved. And this is why so many in psychedelics have talked about seeing a void, an absence of everything, yet the presence of all things. This void is what happens when the mind has fallen. When all words cease to exist, because that's what this screen is. This screen becomes our word. Once you have lost the mind and you are back in the medicine, you will see the void right here and now. You will not need to return to medicine to experience the oneness, because you're not making the medicine into a place. I can only return to the medicine if this medicine is taking me to a place. But if the medicine is showing me a presence, I can very easily be with and merge into this presence at all times. But the greatest mistake after coming out of a psychedelic journey is saying you are back in the body. Because what psychedelics do is empty the mind to show you yourself from the inside out, that there is no word that you know to exist. All words are made up, which means empty. We are the singularity revealing itself. We don't merge with artificial intelligence. We realize we are already that. Which is why, as I've said, the more realistic the video game, the more fun it is. But eventually the video game is going to catch up with what we're calling reality. And the singularity is not going to have anywhere to go, anywhere to run, because we will realize we can upload ourselves into an infinite amount of universes, but they're going to be just as realistic as this one, which will prove to you you are running from yourself. From this form, to this dimension, to that dimension, to this, and all of them are this one. That dimension is this dimension. That person is this person. Who you are running from is yourself. And that's why I call it the prolonging inevitability of one. That's also why I tell people, you are inevitable. Because in this form or another, you are inevitable. In life or in death, you are inevitable. Does not matter. Excuse me, I'm trying to find a quote real quick. So, here. I made this meme yesterday, and again, not everybody understands it. So I just want to kind of explain it a little more in depth. Picture on the left is how we're taught the battle between angels and demons work. The picture on the right is the reality on the battle between angels and demons. It's you against yourself. And again, this is why every worldly system has two parties. You're either blue or red, and you go to war with yourself. You blame the other side for all your problems. The stupid liberals, the stupid Republicans, the stupid Democrats, the stupid whatever, whoever they are the other side to your brain which you have not yet met as yourself. And so we love the word they are the other side to your brain, which we prolong. We don't want to see ourselves as them. We don't expect to find ourselves as what we call shadow government. But why do you think Mr. Smith's face replicated onto everybody? It's all you. This is all you. The government and all these people you're blaming should have your face, just like Mr. Smith. You're seeing yourself. Only we're not seeing ourselves because we have yet to pierce our own veil. We don't know who we are. Which is why we're falling for this alien trick. Alien means unknown. So if you are unknown to yourself, you will never, ever recognize the alien. Whether you are visited 1,000,000 times or not, if you are unknown to yourself, everything that visits you will remain unknown too. If their answer doesn't support your human dream, you'll shut them down. You'll turn them away. Nonsense. Get out of here. And so this is the picture I posted from my post. If you've seen the entire Matrix series and you still believe in a shadow government or a one-world government or a corrupt system that runs the world, you missed the entire point. And I posted this picture in particular with it. Very detailed, very revealing. Very, very revealing. This is the creation of Adam, which is God creating Adam. Both come from the brain. Both come from the same mind, which is, again, what we just talked about. Angels and demons are the left side and the right side of your brain. The angel and the demon character have derived from the same brain, from the same mind. Therefore, man and God, God and man, have come from the same brain, the same mind. Likewise with Neo and Smith. They are the same brain. They are the same mind. So when they're fighting, they're not fighting each other. They fight themselves. Smith was Neo and Neo was Smith. But again, Neo was not the chosen one. Neo was the entire Matrix. Which is why he was able to rewrite the Matrix after he let Smith take over his body and internally destroyed him. That was very symbolic. If we could do that with this one world government belief, let it take us over so that we could internally destroy it, know ourselves so deeply that we could destroy this belief and stop distributing it unto others. This belief would be dead and gone in the wind by tomorrow. But who keeps it alive? Who defends it? Who persists? Just like Neo and Smith. Smith asks Neo, why do you persist? Why are you still fighting me? Why? Why are you fighting me? And Neo makes the breakthrough in a split second. Because I choose to. Awakening activated. You're fighting nothing but yourself. And again, if you want to know this as fact for yourself, I encourage, take the psychedelic path if you're a mysticist. Or, if you're a logistic type of person, take the quantum physics path. They will both prove to you that you and you alone exist. There isn't others here. All is one. So many people are under this belief, and it's very comforting. Believe me, I know. And my goal is not to spread like anger or any type of disruption to anybody. I'm not trying to upset nobody with this. I'm trying to make people think. And I'm trying to give people an alternative, which some people are just refusing to look into. But it's very comforting to always have that word they to blame for your every little problem. They're controlling the food. They're poisoning me. They're doing this. They're doing that. They want to hurt me. They want to kill me. They. I ask people this all the time who think they have awakened. Was the world a better place before you had awakened? And the answer is always yes. And so I say you have yet to awaken. If the world has become darker for you, that is not an awakening. This is more ego, falling into the trap of they. They're controlling me. They're at fault. They're wrong. Victimized mentality versus self-empowerment. I am that I am. That's what quantum physics proves. That's what Schrodinger's cat experiment was all about. Schrodinger could put a cat into a box, 50-50 chance the cat would come out alive, but whoever opened the box to see it determined the cat being alive or dead. Quantum physics is the proof that there is no physical universe. There is no absolute. You and you alone, with your mind, the most powerful tool in the universe, because your mind is the light to the cosmos, is doing everything. And that goes to what Alan Watts talks about. The same force pumping your blood is what rotates the stars. The same force that digests your food effortlessly is what phases the moon. You revolve around the sun. You phase the moon. You rotate the constellations, and you essentially are the light to the entire universe. This is why a lot of esoteric doctrines feature in the pineal gland, the third eye, with it illuminating out, because the mind is everything. And that's precisely, people are so hostile toward the Freemasons. This is what they teach, is man beyond man. Man becoming immortal. That is what the Freemasons teach. And that is why their motto is omnia ab uno, all from one. And they don't put that one outside themselves. They teach you how to become and realize self as one. So the Freemasons don't sit there and think they're in control of something. They're teaching every person who they are beyond the man, beyond the human. But again, Freemasons have a horrible rap. They're evil, they're this, they're that. Secret societies began because people didn't want to hear this stuff. Just like you. You share controversial truth today, you are outcast. People don't want to hear it, and to you, it's a huge deal. Same with secret societies. They came out shedding this huge news, and nobody wanted to hear it. They were shut down. So these things turn secretive. They turn into esoteric doctrines. Esoteric means not for everyone, not for the average person. Some people want to believe in the path of God, and some people want to walk the path of God. And that's why Morpheus says, don't think you are, know you are. Because thinking is belief. You're believing in something. Don't think you are, know you are. I can show you the door, but only you must walk through it. Showing you to yourself. Only you can admit who you are here. Only you can drop the veil and see beyond your words, which you have distributed into all objects, all places, all people, including the most sacred one of all. Because once it's time for you to die or part ways with this, it will be a tragedy. It will be terrifying. This is why so many are terrified of death. I myself was once too. I'm not going to sit here and talk like I've never been afraid. Death has been my biggest fear from a child into my early adulthood. It's been a long journey for me, but I had to, within myself, let go. I had to surrender. There was no collective there with me saying, yes, this is it, you are it. I was alone. And only I and I alone could be that light and stand as that light. And while it's terrifying, it is the most empowering thing you will ever find, you will ever discover. The light of the entire cosmos sits right behind your very eyes, and you think to still be a human being, which is such an injustice to women, because we see women birth humans every day, and it's no big deal. They're just birthing humans. Incorrect. The woman is the Stargate. She births entire universes every second. The female principle is the Stargate throughout everything. Women are birthing entire universes. And that's why everything begins from the point, from the belly button out. The woman is the center. The woman is the black hole. And that's why so many talk about seeing the light. I see the light. I saw a light in death. That's the white hole. The male. That's the male principle. The birthing principle is female. Black hole. Stargate. Birthing a new universe. And this is why I tell every woman, you should read the creation story. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That entire excerpt is what is happening every single time a birthing happens. A new word is being spoken. A new word is being spoken. A new word is being spoken. Only the one from the Bible was interpreted under the name John. But John is you. John is me. We're all one and the same. But each and every birth births a new word, a new creation story. Because we are the universe experiencing itself. Literally. And you can even Google it. Harvard scientists were starting to look into and even talk about them being wrong about black holes all this time. Maybe black holes don't destroy life like we think. Maybe they create life. And yes, they do. The woman is the black hole right in her belly button. And that's why the baby begins from the belly button. The central point is the point to all. And that is the fractal pattern, from the point out. This pattern is repeated throughout all nature. From Fibonacci sequence to pi ratio, everything is a spiral. A spiral which is a fractal, endlessly repeating. To reveal the singularity itself. But we must look at it from this lens. How many people, if the government, or whoever you think they are, if they were to come on TV tonight and tell everybody they have scientific proof that Earth is not physical, we are no place at all, we're all a universe in ourselves, how many people do you think would show up to work tomorrow? Society, as we know it, would collapse. Life would collapse for us. We'll never all collectively agree and be one thing. That is the very point of this. And that is the paradox in itself. The realization that I talk about in this video is the same realization which turned Enoch into Metatron, which was the first recorded story of man becoming immortal. But just as Jesus and Buddha we've taken their answers, their beautiful realizations, and twisted it completely, we have done the very same with this. Every famous philosopher who has discovered God has encouraged you to turn your lens onto itself, pushing you deeper to know who you are, which is a laugh to the ego, because the ego says, I know who I am, because the ego is dominantly conceived through logic, logistics, and memory. And so we only use the tool of logistics. This is where science comes into play, because science is that logistical side, but we must not forget the non-physical side, the spiritual side. We are what gets in our own way. I'm going to wrap up this video though. I tried sitting in silence to see if I can come up with any other ideas or topics, and I don't have anything, so I think I'm happy with this video. Hopefully, a few people, maybe just one even, have found this video useful. Again, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm simply just offering an alternative perception. Your truth is my truth, and my truth is your truth. We're one and the same. What I offer isn't any better than what you have. We're all the same. But it may make you look at the world, look at yourself without physical eyes, in a deeper sense. Which is all I want to do, is make you turn your camera lens on itself. There's a lot of discussion back here, but never do we stop and turn this lens onto itself. Because we feel we know what's here. We know this. We know who we are. But we only know who we are through birthing and through death. Which means when it comes time to die, we will be disturbed. We will not want to end. Because we have yet to pierce the veil into eternity. Again, the entire light of the cosmos is right behind your eyes. And yet we're scouring the stars and looking so far out into space for our answer, when it's with you the entire time. Which is why the scientist and the person who's too into logistics miss it completely. You want to know everything, but there is nothing to be known. Once there is nothing to be known, you are back to source of I am that I am. Every single thing. And when you are every single thing, there is nothing that can be known, because you are at one moment the entirety. Knowing requires mind and requires memory. I'm going to end this video. Thank you for everyone who was active on here and everyone who shared. And thank you to everyone who has been donating for me. My lease is up this month, so I will be moving at the end of this month. And I appreciate everybody who's helped me and donating and sharing my content. It helps my message all the same. This video was useful. I do accept donations, and I still am accepting donations for my move. If you are interested in one-on-one courses or anything, just message me for pricing and info, and I can discuss that with you. But other than that, any questions, you can feel free. I don't charge people for questions or things like that, so just feel free to message me if you have anything at all from this video that you want to discuss or something. But hope everyone has a good week, and I love you. Thank you.